I recently visited a place called Cathedral Caverns in Alabama. Another one of those names they give these places that are just kind of a head turner. Places like this are, for most, are probably mainly head scratchers, not knowing what to think. The touristy spots of these caves with the stalactites, supposed, forming over millions of years. And the funny thing is, all the tour guides, they all have the same script. As far as no matter where you go in America or anywhere in the realm, they're reading from the same script verbatim. One of the first things they tell you before you start into the cave is do not touch the rocks because they won't grow anymore because of the oil through your skin. Yeah. This is one of the more incredible places that is a tourist spot. Even though I don't like the tour guide thing, I had to go in and check this place out. I'm always more comfortable of just roaming in the woods and trying to find stuff on my own, and it's just a more relaxing atmosphere. One of the more obvious things that the tour guides don't ever tell you is, why are there straight lines there? Why are blocks everywhere? Why are the ceilings so flat? Why are these called columns? Why are there 90-degree angles everywhere? Why is the supposed stalactites dripping from the ceiling in sort of a way that's like blocks, circles, just passing it as long as nature just doing its thing over millions of years? Even though it's a headline under theory, we're always still presented with it as fact. They don't ever try to explain why these stalactital, that was a new word I just made up, columns, they say, why are they straight down? Why are they forming in different levels? None of them are conformed to one certain thing. For me, just comparing all these different places, looking for the structural lines and the 90-degree angles and the flat ceilings, it still just leads me back to everything was structure. Everything they're calling nature has a man-made design look to it. And not to mention, this place has got a heavy melt look to it. I did my best with the lighting and everything with the video, and I have a few pictures I'm going to go through and compare with some other stuff. And looking closely at the detail of anywhere you go is the main point. Then giving people the idea of maybe this could be structure that was hit with an intense heat cataclysm. Then from there, you just take it where you want to go in your own reality. Here's what they call, I believe it's Corinthian style columns. Very ornate and detailed. You have this design here, the leaves, and they're coming over, bending over here. Just incredible pieces of work and architecture. Then looking at these, what they actually call these columns. But look what's going on in here. It looks like the same thing as the Corinthian columns. Yeah, sort of like this, and just imagine if it went through some kind of melting heat cataclysm. Kind of looks very similar. Here you have the flat ceiling again. And where is this coming from? It looks like a wall. Melted in different stages here, different looks. If it's dripping over millions of years, how does it all form differently? Here's what they would say is just a start of the stalactite effect. But if you look above here, what's going on here? It's 90-degree angles. Looks like structure. And when you're paying attention to the ceilings and this dripping effect, it's usually in a square, rectangle, circle. It's not just sporadic, which is leading even more into a structure, a building. More odd looking nature, what they call nature here, all different formations as far as a dripping effect. And you have this huge flat ceiling. Here you have the block effect. So much dripping going on and so many different angles and variations. They tell you some coming up from the ground, some dripping down and making these effects. What are we really looking at? Has this formed over millions of years? Or did it go through some kind of cataclysm? And this is all melting from the top down, columns attached, structure on the bottom from the floor, all melting down. Just asking some questions. Here, the ceiling. This one's more rounded shaped than you usually have multiple straight lines of where it's coming from the ceiling. And they'll just tell you it's because there's cracks in the roof and 250 million years ago. If you really think about it, how was this column forming here over millions of years? The same and differently. So this one's attached, but this one's not. This one's not. So how are they forming like this? If they actually let you touch this and chisel some of this off, break it apart, what's underneath it? What's it made of? We'll never know. I can't really stress enough about the ceiling. It's just super flat and smooth, usually. Why does everything else look like it does? Call it the old forest of stalactites. Yeah, I know. And of course, looking away from all the drippiness, and you have this little ghost archway possibly, and all the lines going straight through these smooth walls. I guess you could refer to it as a beautiful disaster. But that's what I see. A disaster. A disaster that melted everything. And some parts of the realm, you can go inside of these buildings and catch a little bit of how it stopped and what it was doing on the inside. Houses forming here and then have flat part. Goes down. Another section here, then goes down. The only way you can explain it is if you put 400 million years on top of it. Here's an example of the dripping here. Straight line, just about turns 90 degrees, another 90 degrees back. Why are they all mostly doing that? Just a fascinating place. Here, underneath is flat. This has all come down, melting down and over. So how does this form like this if it's doing what they're saying, stalactite-ish, but you can see all these lines, almost little blocky looking all the way up to it. But they just give you a vague millions of years, so you don't ever really think about it, at least most people. Just gotta really look close and whatever makes sense to you, but it makes sense that this is all dripping down. It's just an incredible place. If you ever get to visit any sites like this, I'd highly recommend it, but you'll have to listen to a tour guide most likely. Thank you, everyone, and we'll see you next time.